Welcome, everybody, to the 2025 NCAA Tournament Round of 64 press conference. A couple of announcements before we get going here. As a courtesy to your fellow media members, as well as the coaches and student athletes, please silence your cell phones. Please provide your name and media affiliation each time you ask a question during the press conference. If you are joining on Zoom, please use the raise hand function for questions. We will address questions in the room first and get to Zoom if time allows. Recording press conferences on cell phones or cameras is prohibited. Next up is UCLA, the #1 overall seed and winners of the Big Ten Conference Tournament, making their 20th NCAA Tournament appearance. We are joined by head coach Corey Close and student athletes Lauren Betts and Kiki Rice. We'll start with the opening statement from coach and then go to questions to players.
We're just really, it feels like forever, in between the Big Ten tournament and now the opportunity to compete in March Madness, and we're just really excited. I think there's two real big focuses for us is being very present. You need all your energy, day by day, round by round, possession by possession, to go to doing your job. And so really just focused on that. And I think the second thing we're really focused on is playing to win, playing to go get things, playing to earn what you want. There's a level of aggression, and I think that we showed in the second half of our championship game I think we got a taste of what that feels like, what the mentality was like, what the huddles were like, how do we play the game. And so I think, as we always say, success leaves clues. And so we're really trying to latch onto those clues. There's an aggression of going to take more possessions, play the way we believe we can play, and be totally present focused. And not 1-0 cannot be a cliche to us. It has to be a complete narrowing of our focus and a commitment to be right where our feet are, possession by possession.
Questions for the players?
Tuking with the LA Times for both Kiki and Lauren. I know this year has been a lot of unprecedented success in this program, and you guys have been really intentional about saying this is a celebration for not only this team but then previous teams, alumni, people who have set the stage. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about maybe any special alumni that you guys have connected with or reconnected with during this season?
I think for me, I always talk to my past teammates from last year the most. Charisma Osborne and Cameron Brown, they've always been there for me throughout my UCLA, journey, and they've always been my biggest supporters, and before a lot of the games, they've always texted me. But I think it's just really cool for them to see how amazing this team is, and obviously they love and support us no matter what. And, I always remind them that, I wouldn't be here in the mental space that I'm in and how I'm playing if it wasn't for the amount of support they've given me throughout my couple of years here. So always thankful for them. And of course, one of the reasons why I came to UCLA was because of Michaela Onyenwere, and she's obviously from Colorado and she went to my high school. So she's always been a really big inspiration to me, and she's reached out a lot as well. So.
Yeah, similar. It's been really cool because we've had some alumni come back to practice. Like this past week, Charisma was here, Beck Gardner was practicing with us and just continuing to make us better and, be supportive of our team. And Cam Brown has been at so many of our games. She's always cheering courtside. I can hear her pumping me up. But no, it's been great because I think the alumni have been so supportive. And Jordan Canada actually sent me a really nice text before our championship game against SC. And just to hear so much support and for us all to feel that means a lot.
Haley Sawyer, SoCal News Group. I think Corey said a couple times that you guys are not as confident as we would expect you to be. So over the last couple of days, what are some of the things that are giving you that confidence heading into the tournament?
Yeah, I think we're all feeling pretty good right now. We've had a really good week of practices and feel like this team has really kind of taken a step in the right direction in terms of how we're leading ourselves and just the energy that we're bringing and our focus. And I think that's really good because we're feeling our best at the most important time of the year. But I do think there's a lot of confidence that we have in each other and this group that we need going into this next month.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just how we show up every single day at practice and we continue to hold each other accountable and just set the tone every single day. And I think that if we continue to do that, we're obviously going to be in the best position possible, but I think just continue what we're doing right now.
Hey, Lauren, there aren't a lot of dominant low-post players in this game anymore. The game's kind of evolved in other ways. What's the key to being successful and consistent as a low-post player other than having the requisite size?
I think for me personally, I think patience has always been my biggest thing. Obviously, when I'm catching it inside, obviously there's a few people running at me at a time, so just making sure that I'm not rushing myself. But I think also just, I don't know, consistency for me, I think it's been the work that I've been putting in for me personally this season, and Coach Shannon and I have done a lot of extra work outside of practice this year, which is something that I've wanted to be better at, and I think that for me it's honestly just the work that I've been putting in. I think that's what's been giving me the amount of confidence I have this year. So.
And Kiki, a lot of athletes are motivated by disrespect, people don't believe in us, that kind of thing. As the number 1 overall seed, as the Big Ten champions, you guys are, as close to a favorite as it's possible to be. How do you approach that as an athlete, knowing that, you're expected to do well and that there are expectations on this team?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're expected to do well, but I think that comes from within us and within this group because we have really, high expectations of each other. We know the work we do on a daily basis. We know how well we're prepared. So I think most of that kind of stuff is internal expectations. That's really what we're focused on. But I do think, we'll continue to play with the lightness and joy. Like Coach Corey said the other day, we're at our best when we're playing with joy and we're having fun out there. So, not letting any, outside expectations affect us too much is something that we really pride ourselves on.
Sabrina Merchant, The Athletic. For both of you guys, you always talk about how sometimes it's easier to get lessons from losses, but coming out of the Big Ten tournament, even with the win, what lessons were you able to take from your performance there?
We actually talked a little bit about that today in film. I think just reminding us ourselves of the clues that obviously we got from winning a game like that. I think that it was just the mentality that we all had, all 13 of us going into that game. I think we all just wanted to win it so badly, and we weren't going to be denied. And I think that everyone showed up in their role, regardless of if they were playing or not. And I think that's really important for all of us, just to be present. And I think moving forward, obviously, there's going to be state changes in the game. Things are going to go wrong, but I think just making sure that we all continue to stay present and we hold each other accountable and just stay confident and aggressive throughout the game.
Any more questions in the room? Go to Tukni.
I know Corey does a lot of visualization, so every day you kind of start your little video, your personal video highlight. How do you feel those moments where you can just watch yourself doing something good have helped kind of boost your own confidence heading into this NCAA tournament?
Yeah, I mean, throughout the whole season, we watch our visualizations, and those have become kind of a staple of our everyday routine. But something we've also been doing is not only just watching those visualizations, but also in our head visualizing what we want to feel like, when we win a championship and how we're feeling when we're in Tampa and everything. So I think obviously it's taking it one game at a time, but I think those visualizations really put our mind to what we want to achieve and really encourage us we know we want to have a certain feeling. We know we want to feel the confetti on our, on our bodies and everything. So just working to get that every day.
Yeah, I just think it reminds all of us, especially when we start feeling doubtful throughout the season. There's obviously going to be times throughout the season where you don't feel as confident. But I just think it just proves to all of us the type of players that we are. And I think just seeing that on your phone every single day before practice helps with that a lot. So. Yeah, I think obviously that was really fun, but yeah, we want to do it again, so.
For sure.
Alrighty, there's no more questions on the Zoom, so we'll end it there for the student athletes. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And now questions for Coach.
Hi, Corey. Greg Beecham with the AP.
Hi there.
Similar to what I asked Lauren, there aren't a lot of low-post players that
Yeah.
dominate the game anymore. The game's kind of evolved away from that. So, number one, I know she's one of one, obviously.
Right.
But how do you commit to that as a program, as a team, to be consistent and productive in the low post in an era when that's kind of gone?
Right. I think that it's just a matter of every year is not a scientific formula. It's an art project. And so when, we look at our team about what are our strengths and what do we need to play through and, how do the pieces fit together more effectively to create a greater whole than just piece by piece and the sum total of that. So, obviously it starts with Lauren, right? So when that happens, we just sort of build how we wanted to play through the paint. And then how does that influence that people don't want to rotate off of her, so it creates different driving lanes? And then how does that build, so it just sort of has this domino effect. But it starts with her. And the reality for us is that if she gets a touch, people work possessions all the time just to create rotation. Like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to create rotation? How are we going to flatten out their defense? How are we going to force them to be in a scramble mode? We have a really good way. We just pass it to Lauren, and it forces that every single time. And so, I think it's, knowing that. And I think last year we didn't do as good a job. We had a good high usage rate, but I didn't think we put her in as many scoring positions at that usage rate. And the usage rate is when the ball ends with a shot from her, right? And she had a really high usage rate nationally, but our efficiency wasn't quite what we wanted it to be. And so all summer, all fall, about every other day, we're working on just what do Lauren Bett's touches look like, and how many possessions do we go sometimes and maybe lose track. But, it's not rocket science. I mean, we really focused on, she needed to play with lowering her base. She needed to play doing more work before she got the ball, because in trying to create what we call no move neededs, because if she's too far from the basket, we know a double, triple team's coming. And so it's just really building that out. I think it's doing the small things with elite consistency that we knew were going to lead to her being more efficient.
Sabrina Merchant, The Athletic. Hi, Corey.
Hi, Sabrina.
Obviously, there's been a lot of roster turnover over the last few years, but Kiki, Gabs, London, they came in as the #1 recruiting class in the country, and I'm sure you'll have a lot of time to think about this further, but just like, what does it mean to you to see how far they've come, and growing into leaders of these teams?
Well, I mean, it has to do with, growth, loyalty. Those are things that are sort of a lost art these days. The consistency of these young women to be committed to our mission, which is not easy. It's not just about wins and getting a degree. We ask them to do a lot. And to see their commitment, and then to see the culture evolve, and then to see the fruit of their labor, it's gratifying to watch. I mean, this is not about us. This is about helping young people become who they want to become and impact who they want to impact. And so when I see that group being sort of the core, that they're sort of the center of the wheel, right? And some new spokes have come in and they've done that, but those guys have really been the centerpiece in many, many ways. And I am incredibly grateful for their commitment, for their loyalty, for their work ethic, and what they have done for our culture.
Tuning in with the LA Times, you were just talking about Lauren being a focal point of this team. I know in parts of her career she's had trouble kind of like being that center.
Yeah.
And how have you seen her kind of grow into her own confidence and own that role as like really own her superpower as what she is?
Yeah, it's interesting. I was just talking to her on the way over here to the press conference, and I was getting so many texts and emails. It's so funny. Obviously, she did something that's never been done here, and she's first team AP All-American yesterday. I maybe got 1 or 2 on that. But I finally counted this morning. I've gotten 38 text message or emails about her, the story that she shared in Sports Illustrated and how much that touched people. And I said, Lauren, I just, to watch you walk in authenticity in such a courageous way is awesome. And I think that's exactly what has led her to, there's a level of freedom in her. And I just think when you are completely authentic and you're willing to share your story for the sake of others, it releases a burden from your shoulders, and I think she's experiencing that. And I think that's a big piece of how she's grown, and she's still growing. She'll be the first to tell you she's still growing in what that looks like and what happens when she misses her first, 2 or 3 shots, and how can she respond quicker to that disappointment. But to, watch her, obviously, and the improvement on the court is great, but to watch her have the courage to understand, yes, you're one of the best players in the country, but it's actually what's helped her in that is that she's realized that she's so much more than that. And that has freed her up to be all that she can be as a basketball player because everything's not riding on that anymore.
Haley Sawyer, SoCal News Group. So do you have any connection to Southern at all? Do you know anybody from over there, or are we just welcoming a new team into the fold?
We are just welcoming a new team into the fold. I don't know them. I was actually, when I was at Florida State, we always, we had an HBCU right there in Florida A&M, and we had a great partnership with them. I mean, they're literally across the railroad tracks, and we always had HBCUs come in and play in preseason, so I had a better sense of who was there. But now that I've been out here for 14 years, I don't have as much. But I will tell you, I thoroughly enjoyed their band, first of all. Second of all, they flat out defend. And the persistence, consistency, athleticism, sort of dog mentality on the defensive end, boy, they caught my attention. And we were saying in our staff meeting, we need more players to slide their feet in the full court continuously on the ball like them. I mean, just a ton of respect and admiration, but I don't have a personal connection.
I mean, what does it mean, though, to bring in an HBCU into this and then elevate them?
Well, and I think, I mean, they've earned that. I mean, we're not doing that for them. They have done that for themselves, right? And so I don't want to take anything away, but I think that, there's something, we have a great history, which started actually in the Pac-12, that has been intentionally trying to build bridges and partnerships with HBCUs and trying to really honor the work that they're doing. And so I think this is cool that it's worked out this way to continue to build that, even though we're both in new circumstances and new platforms and new arenas. But, I think it's always great to understand people better from different backgrounds, different places. And I think it's always better to look for opportunities to connect and lift others up. And if this is a small piece of that, great.
This year's been groundbreaking for women's basketball in Los Angeles, in particular. Having these two programs going at it like this. This weekend's kind of the culmination of that, at least in the city.
Right.
What's it going to mean to the city, to everything, to have two arenas full of fans cheering women's basketball all weekend?
Well, and I think that is huge, right? I was really thankful. This year, I think we played on the same days last year, and thankfully we're staggered this particular year. And, I think it's huge. I think it's huge for continuing to move the sport forward. I think it's huge in growing basketball, let alone just women's basketball in Los Angeles. I think it's been huge that both times we've played each other, it has been the hottest ticket in town, financially, Celebrity Row, I mean, you name it, it was happening. And how do we bring that into the biggest stage? And now I can't speak for USC, but I'm very hopeful this will be the first time we sell out in the first and second rounds for the NCAA tournament, not that matchup or like our matchup against South Carolina. So, I think there are more steps to make still. There's more growing to do. But this is a special time, and I would challenge people not to miss it.
So did you have some sort of celebration for Lauren being this program's first AP first team All-American?
We didn't actually. We practiced in the morning, and so we all sort of saw it right after practice, and we had sort of splintered. But she came back out, and she could almost barely contain. She went over to tell. Coach Shannon is her go-to person, and she just had tears in her eyes. She was so excited, and just to be able to affirm that. But what I love about Lauren is she said, "This is a team award. I know that I don't get here by myself." And so, and then to have it also happen that the article that she's really being affirmed for so much came out on the same day, but we haven't yet. But we got to figure out a way to do that right. But she's the first one to say that she just really focused on being 1-0 and doing the best we can to play our best when the best is needed. So, but we're gonna have to figure out something with that.
Any more questions in the room? And there's nothing on Zoom, so thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you all. Appreciate you guys.